right?
The 25th.
The 25th. Woo!
Right.
And he still fixes wayward bicycles that come up and down his alley. He does everything he can. He can't keep them down. And then there's Felix. Felix just turned 99 last week, Thursday, right? Both of them U.S. Army Air Force. Ted was a B-17 radio man. He served 25 missions. Was stationed in England, flew wherever they told him, and made it home safely. God bless you. And Felix joined the United States Army Air Force before the war started, served 6 years, and came home 6 weeks after the war ended. He was a P-38 crew chief. He never lost a pilot. He slept with his plane 24 hours a day, lightning.
365 days a year.
365 days a year. Exactly. For 3 years you were with the plane, but you served 6 years. Right. 4 invasions. So Felix's wife, Helen, who quit us just last year, she was also a World War II veteran, a nurse, cadet trainee. So Helen, they were married 70 years. So God bless that. And I'd like to introduce our other dignitaries over here. Our 3 other World War II veterans, John Chislagi, Jonathan Joliet. He served in the Army, right? Not the Army Air Force? Army Air Force, I'm sorry.
Right, everybody's the Army Air Force.
And well, except this badass Marine right here. I'll get to you. So John Chislagi was in logistics, right? You drove a truck.
I drove a truck.
You drove a truck. And what countries were you stationed in? I don't remember. Australia. So John Chislagi, I met him for coffee one time, and I had to follow his car, and I said, okay, I'll follow you. I'm driving the Chevy Equinox, and he goes, oh, I'm in this Ford Mustang over here. Wade, God love him, Wade is from New Lenox. He served in the U.S. Army Air Force,
Right.
and he was stationed in Alaska.
Aleutian Islands.
In the Aleutian Islands.
ADAC, the biggest one halfway out.
And then I'd like to introduce to you, I'm trying to get out of your way here, Bill Mankey. Bill Mankey is one badass Marine. The Fighting Fourth. He was at Iwo Jima. We have true heroes here today. And also with us,
Al Happy.
I don't know your name.
Al Happy.
Al Hoppy, and he's a Korean War veteran, and John Belruco. John served in the same area as my father, 10 years before?
Yep.
So they were both stationed in Germany, and my father was there during the Vietnam era, and he was during technically the Cold War era, right? So it was the era between Korea and Vietnam. So we've got some real dignitary heroes with us today. And with that, let's get the party started.
Hey guys, how about a photo, guys? You guys turn around and face me. I love you guys. Thank you for everything you've done. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here.
How is it
Victory in Europe.
Yes.
Round the next minute.
Come on out of the way. I'm gonna ask you to step back because they're coming.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Come on.
Hey, Joe is here.
Yeah.
Joe Jones.
I say the best.
All right. Look at this mug.
I love you, Dad. Happy birthday.
Air Force. Thank you. Good to see you. What? We're gonna bring it to the tank. Can't bring the tank through. You two probably could get it done. Thank you.
Happy birthday. Thank you for your service. 8th Air Force, PBY Pacific, my dad.
God bless you.
Thank you for your service.
Hi.
Hi.
I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Micci.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing, Greg?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, John.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
If you can stay, we're gonna talk. Yeah.
Hey, look at this guy. Oh, no wonder. Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Hey.
Beautiful. Thank you. You guys having fun? That's pretty impressive. And the cars keep coming. Yeah.
Unexpected, dude.
Hi.
Happy birthday. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, look at that nice car.
Hi, Tom. Hi.
Our ex-mayor.
I know. Yeah. Oh, God bless. I'll play euchre with you anytime.
Hey, Joseph! Yeah. car.
Thank you for coming. Plymouth. It says Plymouth on the running boards.
Thank you for your service.
Hi.
Oh, baby.
Open for you. There we go.
Yeah, we hit it on the other side.
We're not thanks, man.
He made me do it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you. You gonna stick around? Okay.
Thank you.
You still reading? You still got my books? Like I yours at home.
We'll get together someday here.
Yeah, one of these.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well done. We got 7
All right, guys.
buddy.
So that's it. We're gonna meet you out back then. How's that?
You guys back there.
Yeah, let's go meet everybody. Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you.
Can I get a picture with you guys?
Okay, but I do want to get your photos if that's okay.
All right.
You're the celebrities today.
Yeah, that's for sure.
My leg. You were in the Marine Corps as well?
No, don't do the limo.
All right.
If I could get that, I'm going to ask all 5 of the World War II veterans to stand right here for a photo. And everyone else, if you would just, know that that's what we're trying to do. Is the distance thing. Right here under the shade. We want this photo as sexy as possible. Okay, guys, smile. Hey, John?
Joey, unveil.
Yeah, unveil.
Look like a bank robber.
Okay, guys, smile.
What area are you
I'm
representing?
the 85th district. I live in Lockport, so
Okay.
I'm north of Joliet.
Okay.
So north of Larry Wolf Jr.'s district.
Okay.
But I'm running for county lawyer.
Thank you. That's okay. Please.
All right. So we need. Just stay here a second.
Yeah, you can do that, Felix. That makes for good. That makes for good video.
Take your picture. Come on.
Yeah. You can do better than I can. I'm lucky I can walk.
Pam.
Yeah. Oh, we should do all that.
Yeah.
Now that we don't know it.
Sister's gonna be 60, so she's gonna be thrown right in there. Yeah, you're still young.
We're gonna bring the tent and 5 chairs. So we'll all be
Over there where the flags are.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no problem. We got in our there are a couple more coming.
So, no, I don't. I just want you out of the sun. Is more.
Yeah.
Hey, John, you're a state rep, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're on the state senate, but
Same cover now. Where's he at?
Is it on? Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to ask these gentlemen to talk to us about their experience. And I have to tell you, it's going to be the most impressive thing you ever heard in your life, because I've sat and talked to each and every one of these gentlemen, and it is, we got 5 heroes here, true heroes. So we've got 2 happy birthday. We're going to sing happy birthday in a few minutes. We've got cupcakes and do happy birthday over there. Guys need a beer? Guys need a beer? How many? No? Can somebody please bring 3 beers? And none of them are for me. 2 waters? You want a water? Nope, okay. All right, so we're all sanitized. I've got this wiped down, okay? Well, I'm gonna hand it to you in just a minute. So first of all, I'm gonna talk, this is Felix Pasteris. Felix turned 99 years old on Thursday. Felix was the crew chief of a P-38. Go ahead. If you ever come into Stone City, you see his picture up on the wall of his plane. Felix, I'd like to hand you the microphone. Would you tell us about what it was, why you decided to join the United States Army Air Force?
Yes. I'm 99.
Did I say 98?
No, 99.
99!
You know, it's hard. You know, you get old in a hurry. You know that? You don't realize how fast you grow old. And the last 2 years, I've grown very, very old. So, I joined the Air Force in 1940, 3 weeks after graduation from JT, Joliet Township High School. And it was the height of the Depression in Joliet, so I couldn't get a job. I was 5'4", and nobody, and 124 pounds, skinny. And so I had to get in the, and my father would sign, but my mother wouldn't sign. But I got around that somehow. And I was going to be a flyer, and I went down to Texas. And guess what? I flunked. And it was physical that I flunked, you know. And I felt bad, and I became a crew chief on a P-38. The P-38s were in service yet. And this is 1941. And I spent time in Texas and a lot of training and all that. And then I finally took a job in Selfridgefield, Michigan. That's near Detroit. And that, we put in for a transfer, and I got the transfer in 3 weeks, and I asked the fellow there, I said, how do I get there? He says, I don't know. You asked for the transfer. So guess what? Another fellow and I hitchhiked back to Selfridgefield. But on the way, I stayed home a week. And thank God for Dolly. She took care of me. So I got back and I caught a bad cold, and I was laying in the sack for about 3 days, and this guy comes in and says, who the hell are you? And I said, Pasteris. He said, I've been looking for you. And I said, I bet you were. And he said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I got a bad cold. And he said, get over to Furman and get well. And that's all it was for that whole week I had there. And there, we You know, when you're 19 years old and you got a P-38 and says, here you are. And I'm telling you, it's like a museum piece. And what I wanted to do is fly it, and I couldn't. I became the crew chief. There was 4 men under me, and all we had to do was make that thing fly. That's all we had to do. And it was 365 days a year. And I slept on it, I slept under it, I sucked a lot of oxygen out of the oxygen mask because after, you know, that's good for hangovers. You know. So, what?
How many invasions were you in?
I was in 4 invasions.
Which ones?
South Africa. We went out. We went to England. We were in England, and they says you got to go to Africa. And in Africa, I flew in, but the rest of the crew, half of the other crew, went by boat.
I don't know.
And they had to go. They only lost 1 man through a sniper. And when I got there, they hadn't eaten for 4 days. And I had sea rations, and they said, you got any sea rations? I said, here. You know, I hated this stuff. And all across Africa, I lived on dates that were wormy. And at nighttime, I got my protein. In the daytimes, I spit out the worm. And hardtack, I don't know if anybody knows what hardtack, it's a cookie. It's a vitamin cookie, and what you do is you carry them in your pocket, 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and you eat them when you're hungry. But you got to drink a lot of water because they're hardtack, you know, they're really hard. They're invented by Americans in the Civil War.
Okay.
And all across Africa was terrible. And we lost a lot of airplanes, a lot of men, and it was good to get out of there.
I'm going to take this from you. You'll be talking some more. Don't worry. Felix has a lot to say, so be sure to talk to him. He's going to be here all day long. This guy can do 10 shows a day. All right, so the next person is Bill Mankey. Bill Mankey is from the Fighting 4th United States Marine Corps. Hoorah! Thank you. So, he was in Iwo Jima. And he lives in Manhattan now, and Bill still volunteers at every Tuesday, is it, at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery? So I'm going to hand this over to you, Bill, and I heard this story when you were out at the racetrack with us that year, and you were talking about climbing up and what it was like at Iwo Jima. And you said you were on your fun arms, feet coming up the beach. It was how many feet per day? You would crawl a couple of feet, and then that was it for the day, right? I'm going to hand it to you and let you tell us that story your way.
Well, I joined the Marine Corps out of high school. A couple of us kids thought that's the thing to do, so we tried to go and enlist. Took about 3 trips to Chicago before they finally accepted us. I was 17 at the time, but believe it or not, they did not. I was on inactive duty until 18. But the day I left Chicago, I landed in November in California. Never had a chance to get back home again. I was 4th Division. We hit 4 islands out in the Pacific. From February 44, February 45, we hit Roy Namur, Saipan, Tinian, and Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima was a fairly tough one. When we landed in my company, we had about 270 men. I left the 14th day when I was wounded. We still had 70 men, but we had 75 replacements. So there was only 70 guys left out of our 300 and some. Yeah, the Iwo landing, it was what they call a volcanic ash. You could stand in that stuff and you just sink into your ankles. Felt like you were going 2 feet forward and 1 backward most of the time. Other than that, I was just fortunate to be here today. we made it pretty good. I only was wounded 3 times. So that's about what I did.
Say that again. Wounded 3 times. 3-time Purple Heart is what he's saying. And Silver did you have a Silver Star? Just 3 Purple Hearts?
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, that's all. 3 Purple Hearts. You should have heard him when he was telling me that story for the first time in his living room. He said 3 times, well, we were dumb kids back then. They just patched you up and sent you back in. He said, I didn't know I got the 3rd Purple Heart until, what, 1990 something? Yeah, he got 3 Purple Hearts. All right, so Wade. 3 Purple Hearts, yes, worth a round of applause. So Wade Crone, Wade, we keep in touch pretty well, don't we, Wade?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my buddy. Wade, I'm just going to let you talk because you are just so fascinating. You can tell your own story. I got it sanitized here for you. Wade Crone.
Okay. I was a sophomore at JT, and the Air Force came in and gave us everybody that wanted a test. So me and my best friend, I was a sophomore and he was a senior. We said, well, we'll take the test. If we pass, all right. If we don't, we'll go to the Marines. I passed, and he flunked, so he went to the Marines and went to Eugene, and he never come back. I went to Biloxi, Mississippi for training for pilot, and my other friend was in another barracks, and one night they loaded the whole thing up, everybody, and the next week I got a card from him. He was in Germany marching with a rifle on his shoulder, and I said that wasn't for me, so I transferred to the motor pool, and then I went to Waco, Texas, and from there I went to San Antonio and up to Adak, Alaska, and that's where I spent my time in charge of the motor pool up there. Other than that, I just kept going, and then when I came home in New Lenox, we had all the service people come to the fire department there, and we decided to decide whether we have a VFW or a Legion, and we had a VFW. That was in 1946. And
Charter member.
I'm the last charter member of the New Lenox Post. Thank you.
Thank you. So John Chislagi here, John likes to fly under the radar. He doesn't like a whole lot of attention. He doesn't like a whole lot of fuss. So, John, once we started getting you going, though, you had a whole lot to say. I hope you have some things to tell us today. You were in the U.S. Army Air Force. Now, John is the one with the Mustang. So let there be no mistake. He gets down the road just fine. Right, John? I'm going to sanitize this. I'm going to ask you to put it real close because you got a softer voice, okay? Real close.
Yes, I was drafted into through Chicago, and then I went to Rockford, then to St. Louis, and then to Fort Lee in Virginia as a truck driver. First, I was going to be a medic, then there was going to be a gunner, and I ended up being a truck driver. And after training, I trained to California. It took us 23 days to get across from California to New Guinea. In New Guinea, they flew me to Darwin, Australia. I was there for 9 months. Then we went back to the Philippines. I went to the Philippines, and that was it, about the end of the war. And I ended up in Japan for a couple of months, and then home, and back in civilian service. And here I am now. Thank you.
Thank you. John, I'm sorry, everybody. John, you have a birthday coming up too, don't you? You don't want anybody to know about it. So we won't tell him, okay? It's next month. How old are you going to be? 96 years old. So nobody wish him a happy birthday because he doesn't want anybody to know next month. Okay. Ted, we really surprised you, didn't we? Yeah? Go ahead and take your mask off. I think the wind is pretty good. I don't think you're going to hurt anybody here. So I'm going to hand you the microphone. You joined the U.S. Army Air Force, and you were a radio man on a B-17. I got to get all these numbers straight in my head. B-17. I looked up these planes. If you ever want something interesting to do, take a look at these planes. So the Lightning was a P-38. It's considered one of the planes that changed the war, right? That's right. And it wasn't even in service yet when you started. And your B-17, most certainly, the Thunder Mug. Dun, 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 a Thunder Mug. It's,
You know what that is, huh?
you know what that is? It's a chamber pot for dropping bombs. So go ahead, take off your mask. I'm going to hand this to you. And tell us what it was. 25 missions, came home safely, and you served. Each mission was no more than 11 hours. So what was it like the night before? Did you know? Did you not know?
The night before what?
The night before your missions.
What's it like the night before the mission?
Yeah, did you know
Yeah.
you were going the next morning or no?
No, you don't know until they wake you up about 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when you get ready to, for your mission. You get dressed up and everything else, and then you go get something to eat, then you get out to the plane, and you take off. Then they tell you where you're going. Well, one thing leads to another. You just keep going, and you go with the plane, hopefully that you get back. And every place you go, there's always flak, a lot of flak. That's all they want to do is shoot you down. And then when you don't get you with the flak, then they get you with the fighters, enemy fighters. Well, we had no protection from fighters until about, I'd say about the spring of 44. And then by that time, I had about 22 missions under my belt, and I was flying with other crews just as a radio man when my pilot did not fly that day. And before you know it, I had 22 missions, and my regular crew were a little bit behind. Then the announcement came out, anybody with 22 missions or over would have to only go to 25. Anybody with less than 22 has to go to 35. Well, my crew didn't like it because I already had 22 missions. So by the time I had my 25th, my regular crew had to continue flying. But that B-17 that I was flying with, Thundermug, continued flying after I came home. And continued flying and made it every mission for about 116 flights, missions.
Wow.
And with different crews, but the plane kept coming back. That's the irony of it. But I got back to the United States after March 22nd of 44, my last Berlin raid. They shipped me home, and I was on the train going to Miami Beach in 1944, June the 7th, when the invasion started. And I didn't know about the invasion while I was on a train, because there was no radio on the plane. Then when I got to Miami, they said, "Oh, everybody's celebrating talking about the invasion." Well, then I sorry I was not back in Europe trying to help out. But they asked me if I wanted to go on the second mission. And I said, yeah, I'll go on the second mission, but if you send me to Italy. He said, no, you got to go to the Pacific. I said, forget it. So I stayed stateside. And that's about it.
That's about it. All right. So I'm going to head back over to you, Ted. You guys can handle another round?
Sure.
Ready for another round of, not beers, microphones? All right. So we're going to keep you here if you let us. All right. So.
It's nice and comfortable here.
Yeah? All right. So, Felix, you and I are pals. I've heard a lot of good stories from you. I want to hear, would you tell everybody else the story about the last, I'm not sure how long, the last leg of your journey in the war, and you would not know what was happening until you heard you'd get the old magazines, Time magazines would come and they would be outdated. And then who were you listening to?
Nightly, we'd be laying in a sack, and Axis Sally would come over with some beautiful music, all the latest music, and it was candied what she knew. She'd tell you about what you were doing, and but the music was the key to the whole thing for us, and she'd put us to sleep just about every night. So, you know, communications were very, very bad. And, you know, you get a magazine that was, Time magazine was about a month old, and then you learned about the war. You know, when you're out there by yourself, and you know you're a little group and you do your job, but you don't know what's going on in the world. And it's hard. And then the other one we could get is BBC, and the British Broadcasting Company, and it was short wave. And if you ever listen to short wave, you'd hear half of it, and then the wave would come take out the other half. So it was nearly impossible. And and after you listen to Sally, you kind of wonder, you know. I spent 3 years in Europe, and you don't know, am I going to get home? That's all you think about. Am I going to get home? And it gets to you, and then you get Axis Sally would tell you how bad you were doing, and you feel worse. And well, but you know, 3 years is a long time, but you know what? It passes by just like 99 years. It passes by so fast that you don't realize how fast life is. And life is good if you make it good. I mean, that's the key to the whole thing. If you make life good, it'll be good to you. And you know, we don't know what's going to happen to us, and we don't really care. You can't do nothing with bad things that happen to you, like in the war or life, you know. But the future is always beautiful. You can dream about it, and you can do something about it. And that's the best part of life. And if you look on the bright side of life, you know, you're going to have your ups and downs. If you had everything good, you'd never like it. But if you have your ups and downs, and your downs are not too far down, and your ups are not too far up. And that's the key to the whole thing.
That's the key to the whole thing.
Right.
You want to tell us some more?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, we were in Africa, you know, and Africa was rough, you know. At the same time, they were in the islands, and everybody tell them how bad it was over in the islands. In Africa, you never had enough to eat, and you filled your airplanes with 5-gallon tanks, you know, 5-gallon buckets. And you had to climb a ladder.
Microphone.
But it was. Then the worst part of it was every night we'd be just before dusk. Here comes a German. He's going to bomb us. And he only had a 300-pound bomb. A 300-pound bomb only goes down about 5 feet. You know how deep our foxholes were? 6 feet deep. We had to have ladders to get in and out of them. And most common thing, he said, "What are you eating?" And we'd say, eat my protein, and that was rotten dates. And you know, you eat the worms, you don't mind it. You're hungry.
Yeah, you're hungry. I'm gonna take it from you. It's flowing. I'm telling you, this guy can do 3 shows a night. I've seen it. I've seen it. All right. So, Bill, you were one of the founding members of the Tinley Park VFW, is that right? Correct. Okay. So, as the only Marine in the group today, why don't you tell us about what the Fighting Fourth is and what that means to you? I'm trying to block the wind over here.
Well, I'll talk about the fourth, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about when I went into the Corps. I signed in, we were 17, but they did not accept us until 18. Why, I don't know, but this was during the war. I left home, I had to report into Chicago, which I was not sure what it was for, when I found out that we were shipping out. So I had to call home and tell my mother, I guess what, I'm not going to be home, I'm heading for California. Well, I checked in at boot camp on November 17th. February 1st, I was wounded. I only had about 3 weeks of boot camp, where normally was about 8 weeks. So I always said I really didn't enjoy the Marine Corps because I spent too much time either aboard ship or hitting an island. I was only in 2 years, so that was basically why I said I really didn't get to enjoy the Marine Corps. But as far as the VFW, that was a gas station. There was 5 of us, 4 guys from World War I, and I was the only one in World War II. We bought the building. We had to sign a mortgage for our building in Tinley when we bought it. That's the best I can tell you about it. 4th Marine Division, as I said, we were the ones that hit 4 islands in 12 months.
Which islands?
Roy Namor, that was in the volcanoes. Saipan and Tinian was in the Marianas, and Iwo Jima was in the volcanoes.
That's 3. Yep. Was that all 4? Did you mention all 4?
Yeah.
All right. When we had a group of folks out at Chicagoland Speedway, it was 2 years ago with Bill, he was sitting telling stories, and I have to tell you, we were all in tears. You were in tears, we were in tears. It was pretty incredible. These men are true heroes, and not just because I'm saying so, but because they earned it, for sure. Wade, you're next.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. I'm not going to set you up. You just go ahead and talk. Here you go.
Well, when I was up in the ADAC, I lived above the office in the garage, and had a little big radio, and every night after our radio station on the island went off at midnight, WLS came on right like that. So I always had the news from Chicago every night that I was there. So it was great. And then when I shipped home, I got into Seattle and took a train all the way to Camp McCoy, Wisconsin, and was discharged there. After I was married, we had 11 children, and I still have 10. And before I came, the one from Tennessee just called, and every time they call, they ask how you are. And I say, well, I'm the same thing as I was last year. Everything is, nothing's changed. So I'm doing great. Thank you.
Wade calls me every, 10 days or so to make sure I'm okay. I love that. Thank you for doing that. And keep doing it. And Muncie's working, so he's going to be here as soon as he can. They're in the field, so. John, John, talk about how old were you when you enlisted, and why did you, or not, you were drafted, I'm sorry. Why did you, what was your life like? How old were you, and what was it like for you when you decided, well, I guess you didn't decide, but they decided for you that you were going to go to war? Talk about the 1940s.
1940.
Microphone.
Because in high school, I learned the trade of welding, and the war started. I went to work at Farrell's manufacturing and getting 69 cents an hour. We were working 10 hours a day, and they got a Navy contract to build the shell for the torpedoes, and the next thing you know, I was drafted, and life went on.
So what was it like when you came back?
I don't remember really.
You don't remember coming back? All right, John, thank you. So 69 cents an hour, 10-hour days was what he was working. Making torpedoes? Welding torpedoes. So that's what he did when he got drafted. Unbelievable. Ted, you have so many stories. I'm trying not to prod you too much, because some of them you don't want to tell. What are the stories you want to tell? Tell us some stories. Take off your mask. Show them your
One of my
plane.
stories for what?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Show them your plane.
One of almost tragedy, yeah. This happened to be on my third mission. We were flying over to Norway, in November when it was real cold. And while we were flying up 25,000 feet, it was 70 degrees below zero. You know there's no heat on that airplane, and we were all with frosty eyelids, frosty around the mouthpiece, and it was pretty rough. And while we were flying to Norway, the total flight was about 11 hours in the air. And we had what we call Tokyo tanks for extra gas to get to Norway and back. Well, while we were in Norway, we were bombing a molybdenum mine out there. And we made 3 passes over the mine itself to make sure that we were going to hit that right.
Say it
And
again.
we did. We had no...
What's the name of it? The microphone's cutting out a little. Go ahead, say it again. What, the Millennium Mine?
Molybdenum mine, yes. Mine outfit for Norway. And we finally made 3 passes around it so we make sure we hit the mine itself. And we did. And we did a good job of it. But meanwhile, all of a sudden the pilot hollered and said, we're not getting any gas in our main tank. So we left the flight itself, the formation, and flew down low so we could get some warmer weather. And we were still not getting any gas, and we were flying over water, and the pilot noticed that the crew start bailing out with just throw all the guns out, throw all the heavy equipment, all the radio equipment, everything we had, even our shoes we were throwing out to make the plane a little lighter. Well, as we continue on, our engineer checked the valves on the tanks itself. It was not getting any gas into the main tank. Finally, as we were flying over the water, about 50 foot over the water itself in order to make the plane temperature-wise, we were starting to get gas back into the main tank, but not that much. We kept continuing flying. Meanwhile, the waves out in the water on the ocean itself was licking the bottom of the airplane because that's how much wave it was blowing out there. But meanwhile, we were all getting ready to ditch in the ocean itself. So most of the crew sat up in the front where the radio room is at, so you could take the, when we landed in the water, saw crash landing in the water, everybody be able to bail out from the radio room. But anyway, it kept going. Finally, we hit English shorelines. We're going to make it. I don't know how, miracle-wise, we saw the English channel there. Then not only that, we were flying close to the English shorelines. Here comes the English fighters. They're ready to knock us out of the air because B-17s were being duplicated by the Germans and flying alongside us formation to see how we handle the plane itself. But anyway, I forgot to put on the IFF for identification. The pilots shot the color of the day and the fighters took off. And we were safe. But we landed on the twin airport for twin planes. As soon as we got to the end of the runway, all 4 engines cut out. No more gas. Everybody celebrated. But anyway, they gassed up and we flew back to our base. That was it.
All right, okay. All right.
So, all these years I've known you,
One more little thing. Let me just follow up with this because I'm gonna hide behind.
so all these years I've known you, you've never not once talked about any of your missions to me. In fact, when we first met, you said, I'm not talking about my missions. I'll come and talk to you, Aaron, but I'm not talking about my missions. And I never asked you. No. So that's a pretty big deal for you to talk about that mission. So thanks. And
in fact, my co-pilot made a, he went flying with, on our fourth mission, he went flying with another group because we couldn't go, but my pilot was sick. But anyway, he got shot down. He made a journal for every day that he was a POW. 18 months. And I got a diary of that whole thing.
You do?
Yeah.
What's his
And
name?
he described how that mission was going to Norway, right to the T.
And what's his name?
Thayer.
It's okay.
Last name is Thayer.
Thayer?
There, yeah. Count there. He was from New Jersey. But anyway, he got shot down there 18 months as a POW. But then he got relieved. His daughter still keeps in touch with me.
From New Jersey?
Yeah.
So these are not the Joliet thing. This is a different family, right? Okay. All right.
But I had my last 4 missions before my 25th. There were 4 going to Berlin, and talk about throwing everything up there. They did throw everything up there. It's lucky I came back from that flight. Maybe.
The last 4 were over Berlin.
Between the flaks and the fighters, they tried their best at trying to get us down. That was it. I got a DFC for that 4 flights.
DFC?
DFC.
What's a DFC?
Distinguished Flying Cross.
a distinguished flying cross for the last 4 flights over Berlin. God bless you. So, all these years I've known these gentlemen, I call you badasses because you are. But so much of what you're doing and what you've survived, you gave us our freedom. You gave us our freedom. So, on behalf of everybody, pretty much, thank you so much. Can we just get, and he says you're welcome, can we just get a round of applause for these heroes who gave us our freedom? Happy birthday, Felix, and happy birthday, Ted. And I'm going to let you, Wade, you got one more little thing. And I'm going to let you finish, and then you guys can go and mix and mingle with your fans. But I'm going to ask on behalf of the families, they've asked us all to just keep social distancing. We've got hand sanitizer, I've got wipes, whatever you need, sunblock, and cold beer. So Wade?
Yes, when they dedicated the World War II Memorial in D.C., the VFW New Links, we chartered a bus, and 30 of us went midway and flew in to D.C. They took us to Baltimore, and we stayed there for 3 days. They bussed us back and forth. But today, everybody that has to go to see the thing, you go early in the morning and you come back late at night. But we had 3 days there, which was real great. And anybody that hasn't been there yet, you better go, because that's the best thing you can see. Thank you.
Honor flight. Okay. A round of applause, everyone. Felix Pasteris, Phil Mackey, Wade Crone, John Chislagi, and Ted Micci.